was Snoke the whole time!
How you get so big that you hold up this kind?
Obviously kidding there, but also obviously spoilers ahead. I don't know why you would click on a video with this title and not expect spoilers, so if you thought this was spoiler free, I don't really know how to help you, but just fair warning. Spoilers start now. So Kanan is dead. And no, that's not a double bluff. So if you kept watching, that's your problem. Kanan is dead. And I think a lot of us saw it coming. In fact, I thought it was going to happen during the mid-season finale a couple weeks ago. But when that didn't happen, I assumed we weren't going to see this until closer to the finale. Obviously, a lot of us are in a place where we want to mourn this character. I definitely went through different stages of grief watching those episodes. The death of a mentor is about as Star Wars as you can get. It's that necessary step for a learner to kind of step out of the shadow and go off and do their own thing, right out of the hero's journey and all of that mythological kind of stuff that people always talk about when they talk about Star Wars. And because of that, Kanan's death was definitely coming, and not just because there's not a super powerful Jedi running around with Rebel Alliance in the other movies. This was always going to be an important part of Ezra and everyone else's journeys within Star Wars Rebels, whether we wanted to admit it or not. Kanan's sacrifice, Kanan's acceptance of the Force and what it means, even Hera's confession of love that she feels came too late, all of this plays a part in where the characters have to go next. These are all the loose ends that the series is starting to tie up. While Kanan's journey has ended, I think we're going to find that Kanan's journey was necessary for everyone else's going forward. Because you see, it's not just about if the mentor dies, but when the mentor dies. Is it that the mentor or guardian dies in the first part of the story and that's the thing that launches the longtime student onto their own path? Or is it 2/3 of the way through when it's time for the hero to buck up and just get things done? And come to think of it, Luke had it pretty hard in that first movie. He kind of lost absolutely everyone. Now Ezra is on his own. He's the obvious one to think of here, but everyone looked up to Kanan. Zeb, Sabine, and Hera in a very different sort of way, and now Kanan's gone and it's time for them to step up. Can they find their way? I think all of these characters are going to reach a new understanding of what matters, that this is their final call. And I want to look at what Kanan's death is going to mean for each of them. So let's start with Ezra. Ezra's alone all over again. This is what he yells at the giant wolf thing that I really hope isn't Kanan as a Force wolf ghost thing. Ezra is afraid, he's on his own, and he isn't ready. But what's interesting about this is that Ezra was on his own for so long. When we met him, he was completely alone. Then he found a family, people who would love him and support him, in spite of all of his Ezra personality. And now he's alone again, and he's afraid that he's gonna end up back where he was. It was easy when he didn't know what he didn't have. Now this loss will feel more real. But the Force Wolves have a mission for him, and a message more vague than a Jedi prophecy and more random than a poem from the Doki Doki Lit Club. Ezra has a quest now. One Jedi is dead, but the Jedi as an idea need his help. This loss is something he truly needed to understand so he could know why he was fighting, what he actually had to let go of, not what he never got to hold in the first place. Next, let's talk about Hera. You know, there's the age-old joke that if you're a spy, you shouldn't announce your retirement, because the moment you do, you'll probably actually get caught the day before your retirement. The same is kind of true for confessing your love for someone. You probably shouldn't do it while you're standing on top of a giant fuel tank. In any TV series, as soon as your favorite characters finally say that they're in love, that's when things are gonna start to get real complicated. Cause see, the flirty stage is real fun and filled with banter, but no one really wants to watch two characters sit and happily hold hands for 30 minutes every week, so they have to start introducing some drama. Now, sometimes this is when one character will learn something new about the other one that shakes up the relationship, but they've kind of already gone through that stage. Kanan and Hera met in the novel A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller. Kanan's attraction was obvious from the start, but Hera needed a little bit more convincing. Still, they overcame one being a rebel and the other one being a Jedi, even though that wasn't exactly where the other one really wanted to be at that moment. They formed a bond years before the series even started. In fact, I suspect Hera saying "I love you" was something that's gone unsaid for quite some time. Although I also suspect that this has probably not been unsaid by Kanan. I think it's kind of odd that he doesn't return the "I love you" sentiment, perhaps because he's actually already said it, but that's kind of speculation on my part. It just, Kanan seems like the type where he would have been more open to that from the beginning, and he's always been more into the flirting, into the kind of like, hey, what's going on here? Hera's always been kind of pushing him off to the side. Hera has a love that was taken too soon, but what does that really mean for her? I mentioned earlier that Kanan's death would impact her story, but he wasn't really a mentor to her. They were equals. But, in a way, Kanan is Hera's final sacrifice. She's lost a lot. We learn of a sibling who died at a young age. We know her relationship with her father has been tested. She's lost friends, she's lost soldiers, she's lost so much. And yet Kanan was the last thing. She didn't just lose a friend or a love. She lost a life. Her life. With Kanan. Why did I wait so long? She asks herself. I don't really know, but I assume it's the classic there'll be time after the war kind of scenario. Life with Kanan is what she wanted, and now that's never going to happen. And now she's going to be fighting for everyone else, not herself. We know she's a survivor, she's alive in Return of the Jedi, and so is Chopper, but we don't really know about anyone else. She's left a survivor with a survivor's quest, or as Mara would say, survivor's guilt. And speaking of survivors, let's talk about Zeb. Zeb, who's lost so many of his own people at the hands of a now rebel. He's had to learn to move on and to forgive, but often having to do that a second time can prove harder and more faith-shattering than the first. This will truly test Zeb's heart. And Sabine, while not as intense as with Ezra, Kanan was her teacher too. Someone who accepted her in light of her past. But Sabine perhaps has it the easiest. She's already bonded once again with her family. She already has that support system. She, among anyone else from the Ghost, actually has gotten back what she lost in the first place. I think, if anything, Hera's response to Kanan's death will mean more to this reluctant leader than his death itself. So where do we go from here? I have to say, I don't think this is going to be our last death. It happened too soon, there's too much left to go. I think someone else is going to not make it, but I can't really tell you who. We know it won't be Hera, we know it won't be Chopper, and I don't think Ezra is going to be set on this quest now just to die in a couple of episodes. I think, if anything, for him, we're going to see more of a quirky, didn't really see it coming, third option sort of fate. And no, that fate is not him being DJ. That said, with episodes coming soon that involve things from the Mortis trilogy, I don't think we should expect Old Masters to be all that forgotten. So yeah, this is kind of how I'm feeling after watching Jedi Knight and Dume. I was gonna do more of a traditional review, and there is so much to talk about, I could never really get to it, and I kind of wanted to get to the heart of the matter and where this series is going with its storytelling right now. If you want to discuss the episodes with us, please check out our commentaries. Professor Django and I watched these episodes and recorded our reactions. They're up as audio commentaries. You would just simply take our audio tracks, sync it with your copy of Rebels, and watch it with us, or drop by port-haven.com where we have a whole area of discussion for Rebels. Follow us at Port Haven Forums, where we're happy to discuss things, but we don't discuss spoilers on Twitter because #don't spoil Star Wars. And until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Now cooking can be fun!